All right, well, we're back from that horrific UNLV UNLV spring practice. First of all, we appreciate the support from the first YouTube video. I believe we got up to 100 views, which is one of our goals for our first video. So appreciate it. Matt, any words you'd like to say?
Appreciate you guys checking out YouTube. Obviously, I think caught maybe both of us a little bit off guard of how much support it got. So keep it up, keep sharing, keep spreading the word.
All right, so we just got back from the UNLV football spring practice.
Ooh. They look just like UNLV football.
I mean, we did see some promising things. Besides, all jokes aside, we saw Marty Rogers looked very good and healthy,
Very sharp.
which is something UNLV football is going to need going into the future. The new running back, Charles Williams, I mean, he's not new, but he's going to be the starting running back now that Lexington Thomas has graduated from the program. He looked good. He got a couple big plays. Just the defense didn't look. It looked like UNLV defense. We'll say that. And then we're also seeing, some of the backups, and Max Gilliam is still atrocious, completely horrible. He threw 2 interceptions, and he ran 4 practice drives. So that wasn't good. And one of the interceptions was from the 5-yard line in the end zone. Then we got to see the hometown Kenyon Oblad, who actually he only was out there for a couple drives, but did really good. Was making some sharp passes. He overthrew one of them, but he was making some good passes. And once we move on from Armani, feel very confident Kenyon Oblad's going to do a very, very good job as the next UNLV quarterback, because I know sure as hell it's not going to be Max Gilliam. So that.
I mean, like Joe said, there was some promising things about the spring game. Armani Rogers had pretty good command of the offense. First drive of the game, ran about 3.5 minutes off the clock, marched the team down and got a touchdown right on the first drive. Then they switched and put Gilliam in. I believe his first drive didn't go anywhere, really. I mean, it might have gained a first down or 2.
He threw a pick.
No, not on the first one, I thought that was, I know for sure.
Remember they started from the 5?
Oh, yeah. So they did start from the 5.
Right. Beautiful.
And throws the ball right down the center of the field into the defense's hands. And then...
He called it before it happened.
Yeah, and then
he threw it, that's an interception.
Literally, yeah. They started it on the far side of the field on one of the possessions in the second half, and before he threw it, he was rolling out left, and I said he's going to throw an interception. And sure enough, throws a pick. So, to me, I think Kenyon Oblad played better than Max Gilliam in the short time that Kenyon got to play today. I think going forward, Kenyon should be the number 2 quarterback. I get it, he's a redshirt freshman, but...
not redshirt. Is he still redshirt?
Well, he's not redshirting this year, but he redshirted last year.
Year.
So this will be his first year of eligibility playing. So I still think you give him a chance to have the second, or the backup quarterback job. But I think I hate to say it because hope's not a plan, but we need to hope that Armani Rogers doesn't get hurt.
Oh yeah, if UNLV wants to make a bowl game, Armani Rogers needs to stay healthy. And Matt, now we're going into the season. We saw the home schedule's obviously been out for a while. The regular season schedule obviously has some tough games this year. You have a home game against Boise State. You have a home game against San Diego State. You have a home game against Arkansas State. You're on the road against Vanderbilt. You're on the road against Northwestern, and you're on the road against University of Nevada, Reno. So, tough schedule, but some winnable games. The expectation this year is a bowl game, and if it's not, then Tony Sanchez will be joining Marvin Menzies as a UNLV coach without a job. So, what should what do you think their record will be? And if they don't make a bowl game, if they go like 5-7, do you think they give Sanchez another run at remaining the head coach at UNLV? So, should they make a bowl game this year?
I'm thinking that it's going to be, for a home schedule, I believe there's 6 games, right? They got Boise. I don't think they're going to win the Boise State game. Highly doubt it. San Diego, I'd like to say they're going to win that game, but I don't
I
realistically.
mean, they beat them on the road last year.
I know, but to me that seemed almost like a fluke. I think like San Diego.
And they had Gilliam.
Yeah,
This year we'll have Rogers, so I don't know.
I feel like San Diego's like a loss. Like people are going to predict it as a win, and then that'll be one of the games they somehow lose.
Excuse my loud father. Go keep going.
Hawaii, we will we'll win. Hawaii hasn't been that great historically. San Jose State is never really decent. San Jose is never a really decent school as far as like football, so we should be okay with beating them at home. I believe Southern Utah, the first game of the year. I think we'll get past Southern Utah. They're historically not that great. And then Arkansas State, we kept it a pretty close game last year on the road. That was, I believe, the game Armani Rogers went down with injury. So
Which one was it?
Arkansas State, I believe.
Yes. No, it was in practice the week following.
The week following. So you've got those games. So realistically at home, I'm going to give them like 4-2 at home.
4-2.
Out of their 6 games. And then on the road, I don't see them beating Vanderbilt or Northwestern. I think
they'll beat Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's not a...
I don't know, because Vanderbilt plays against tougher competition than UNLV. You got to remember that Vanderbilt's in the SEC conference, where you got to play with Alabama, Florida, who was pretty good last year. LSU was a top 10 team. Arkansas's even pretty good some years. So you've got that, and then Northwestern obviously being in the Big Ten, they were pretty good last year too. And then Reno. I'd like to, as a Rebel fan, I'd like to say we're going to beat Reno.
They lost their quarterback. We beat them last year.
I think Reno will be a game we squeak out. It'll be the last game of the year, so depending on where we're at, we're really going to need that game. You know, say we're at 5-5 or something like that, 5-6. We're going to have to win that game to get into a bowl game. So there's going to be extra incentive, extra motivation. I'll give them Reno because it is a later game in the season. So you talk about those games, like, obviously it's starting to win now, so I give them Reno, and then what else do we have on the road this year? Fresno, right?
I believe so.
I don't see
Jesus
us beating.
Christ.
I don't see us beating Fresno.
I love when I say I'm filming and, you know, my mom decides to play with the dogs and my dad decides to be as loud as possible, but go ahead. So excuse the background noise. I'm only 16. If I had the chance to live in my own apartment, believe me, I definitely would. But
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, given all that, I'm gonna give them. I'll give them 6-6.
6-6.
Maybe 7-5, depending on like San Diego State how that game goes. Maybe, but 6-6.
No, we'll get them into a bowl game, and then it could keep Sanchez's job for at least another year.
Yeah, 6-6. We'll get them a bowl game, like Joe said, and like I said, more importantly, I think it's going to give Sanchez one more year to hopefully get recruits in, because the Fertitta complex will be open and fully functioning. The Raider Stadium should be done.
It will be done.
Will be. I heard there was a little bit behind schedule.
They said it was ahead of schedule.
Oh, it's ahead of schedule now. I heard behind originally, so good. Maybe they caught up. So Raider Stadium will be functioning, and then making a bowl game should obviously be a little more appealing to some higher recruits. Like, hey, we made a bowl game last year. We've got momentum. So, but realistically for this year, I'm not expecting much more than 6-6, but I'm definitely expecting a 6-6 season at least.
Now, if they go 5-7, do you think Sanchez deserves another year?
No.
He's done?
I'm tired of this 5-7, 4-8. Oh, we're so close, and you know this is just gonna be. We just need a couple more games. Like, I'm tired of hearing that excuse. I really am. Like now it's just put up or shut up time, in my opinion. Like you said, oh, I need one more year. You beat Reno last year to end the season out, so we gave you another year because we thought you were gonna ride the wave and ride the momentum. So if he doesn't perform well this year, this will be his 5th year coaching at UNLV.
5 years, buddy.
Most coaches in college football aren't getting that long. That's just the thing.
So hopefully UNLV is playing in a bowl game this season, but keep it at UNLV. It was reported today. forgot his name, Michael Avalani, I believe the lawyer was, that Nike was paying athletes to attend universities. Brandon McCoy was paid a total of $15,500 to attend the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV. You also had DeAndre Ayton was getting paid $35,500 to attend the University of Arizona, another Nike school. And then that Zion Williamson was paid to attend the University of Duke. Many thought he was a Clemson lean because hometown school. He was constantly going on visits to Clemson. It just seemed like Clemson was his hometown school is where he was going to go. Ended up going to Duke, Nike school. So just seems like Nike was trying to get their flagship programs. Their big. UNLV. I mean, may not have much success, but look at the fan base. It's a flagship program. They're on national TV constantly. You have the Thomas and Mack Mendenhall Center. They need UNLV to do good. Same as with Arizona. Same as with Duke. Matt, I mean, I know you're not, but are you surprised that McCoy? It wasn't from Menzies. Allegedly, UNLV knew nothing about it, and that's what it is. And if UNLV ended up not knowing anything about it, they're innocent. Now, we both know Arizona obviously knew something about it because Sean Miller, there were reports that he was already paying DeAndre Ayton to come to the University of Arizona, and he's being investigated right now by the FBI. And then you have Duke, who's been pulling in these 5 stars. I think we both know Duke knew that this was happening. But are you surprised that McCoy was receiving payments?
Not at all. And I'll tell you why. It's because as a UNLV fan, this didn't make sense to me either. Like, as far as getting McCoy originally. Like, me and Joe honestly had a hard time understanding why he chose us. Especially looking at his list, he had Michigan State, who, by the way, is in the Final Four this year. He had, I believe, San Diego State, hometown school. Oh, by the way,
hometown. He was just going to.
Or I guess it was
hometown Chicago.
Right, but at the time he was living, I think, in San Diego.
Yeah, at Oregon.
So, and San Diego, by the way, was in the Mountain West Conference tournament championship game.
They were in the tournament that year, I believe.
Oh yeah, I think they were. You had Oregon, who won the Pac-12 tournament this year.
And then who else did he have? He had another big school: Michigan State, Oregon, San Diego State, UNLV, Arizona.
Oh, and Arizona. They had a kind of a down year, but last year they had a really good year. They won the Pac-12 last year. So you had all these schools, and he chose us, and it really didn't make a ton of sense to me.
As UNLV was 11-21 the previous year of McCoy's decision.
Right. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm very excited that we had McCoy. I think that was a really good recruit for our recruiting class, and I was like, okay.
Didn't really live up to the hype at UNLV. But.
Right. And then, preseason, I was like, okay, this team can make some noise. We have a really good recruit that's our centerpiece around the other guys, and this could be a really good thing. And the first couple games, he started playing like a beast down low. The
games were against who? Western.
Exactly.
Western Washington.
Exactly.
Fucking Florida A&M.
And then we hit conference play and some other decent non-conference opponents.
McCoy had that 8-point game against Reno.
And then he flopped. He folded, and he became a shell of himself. And then he made the terrible decision, and he's actually admitted this, that he made a terrible decision.
Really?
No joke. He's admitted it. I don't think publicly, but through sources, he's admitted, I probably should have stayed another year.
Well, I'm glad he didn't, because reports came that he was getting paid and we'd be stuck with Menzies. So
right. Looking back on it,
blessing in disguise.
I'm glad he's gone now because he gets UNLV away from trouble in the NCAA. That's the last.
Get Menzies away from the program.
Right, and that's really, that's the last thing this TJ Otzelberger coach needs right now. Coming into a new situation, like that would be kind of a crummy situation to come into with the NCAA breathing down your neck for a recruit that wasn't even yours.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not really surprised either. I was obviously excited when we landed Brandon McCoy, but I knew something definitely was fishy because just Menzies didn't have as long of time to recruit with Brandon McCoy, so these other schools were recruiting him a lot longer. UNLV wasn't very successful. They didn't really have a lot of recruits until McCoy committed, and then recruits started following McCoy to UNLV. I knew something was fishy, but nothing ever came out, and I was like, hey, maybe Menzies is just a hell of a recruiter. Sure as shit. excuse my language, but the truth comes out eventually. It may not be a month, it may not be a year, 2 years, 3 years. I mean, in this case, it was a year, but the truth eventually does come out, and truth came out. McCoy was getting paid from Nike, and I guess UNLV didn't know anything, but I'm not sure how much of that I believe. But, but they're not surprised. I mean, I probably could have told you that from the start. It just didn't make much sense for him to pick UNLV. You'd figure UNLV would have been last on that, top 5 of choices. I was expecting him to go to Oregon or Michigan State. But as long as they say UNLV didn't know anything, and that's all I need, and we don't need to get the hammer from the NCAA, because the NCAA, if they could, they would honestly give us the hammer at any given moment. So now we go on to Zion. Are you surprised that we're not even talking about DeAndre Ayton really, to be honest, because he's in the NBA now, and it just really doesn't matter. And everyone knows that Sean Miller has been paying players to come there for a long time. But are you shocked at all? Do you think Duke should get the hammer at least? If Duke was involved, we both know we're not shocked because Zion was supposed to go to Clemson or South Carolina. Do you think Duke should get the hammer if they knew and they were involved in the payments of Zion Williamson? Do you think Duke should get a punishment?
That's the key. If they knew. If they didn't know, then, whatever.
Matt, come on.
They're
saying Duke
knew. I don't know.
They're saying Duke knew.
You also have to remember, they said the same thing about us until the report came out today and said, oh, yeah, UNLV didn't know anything. So, if they come back and say, okay...
So Duke knew, this is the scenario.
If Duke knew, they should absolutely get punished. If there was
I don't think the NCAA will, though.
No, because you got to remember, Duke brought in a lot of revenue for the NCAA this year.
Yep.
Because they had Zion, because they were televised.
What's it going to be next year? They landed Vernon Carey Jr., number 1 recruit in the nation, Duke commit. You really think they're going to give Duke the hammer?
I think so. Because
they need Duke.
Well, here's why.
They need if Duke's winning, the NCAA's doing good. Duke's on the national TV, gives them money. People going to spending $1,000 money on tickets at Cameron Indoor Stadiums, give them money. Duke getting in the ACC tournament gives them money. Duke in the NCAA tournament gives them money. The NCAA will be like, we're going to, suspend Coach K for 5 games and fine the program $20,000. Like, that's going to be their punishment.
You gotta remember,
they're not going to get the hammer.
You got to remember.
I promise you.
You have to remember, though, in football, they suspended Urban Meyer. They came down with the hammer on Urban Meyer.
He got suspended, though. They didn't ban the program of postseason. That's what I'm saying. They'll ban Coach K. They won't ban him. They'll suspend him for 5 games or something.
Which is fine. Okay, whatever. As long as they get punished. But if they knew and they say
they should get the hammer. They should get no postseason for a year. You were paying players. That's against the any other school that did that would get the hammer.
I agree.
But they won't do that.
Yeah,
to do.
I agree with you. I think they should. In a perfect world, they should. And this is no offense to any player coming in, but Zion was a once-in-a-lifetime player. People were polarized by Zion. Granted, he was with Duke, so they associated Zion with Duke. But I think this would have been the case if he went to Clemson. Not as much being paid, but being on national TV, because everybody seemed like that was following basketball loved Zion. And through high school, everything it was like he was like every other post on Instagram or Twitter. Did you see the Zion dunk? Did you see what he did in this game, etc. And Zion brought in a lot of revenue, not only for Duke,
you know how much of that he got?
But for NCAA. Well, hang on.
Oh, yeah. Nike was like, hold on, buddy, we got you.
But anyways, Zion brought in a lot, and I don't think Duke's going to have a recruiting class like they did this year. It's going to be good. It always is.
The summer league is going to be crazy this year with Zion.
You're talking about 3 players that could honestly go 1, 2, 3 in the draft, all playing on the same roster.
Yeah.
That I don't think will ever happen. It probably will, but it won't happen for a really long time.
Yeah.
The last time I think we saw that type of a roster was the Michigan Fab Five. And
before that was the 1990 UNLV squad.
Right. And even then they didn't go 1, 2, 3 in the draft.
Larry went 1, I think Greg went 6, huh?
Yeah. And Michigan, they all came out at different years. So
yeah.
But this generally has a good chance to go 1, 2, 3. And if you watch, Duke was on every ESPN spot. So if ESPN had a Tuesday night spot, they were covering Duke. Yep. Wednesday, Duke. Saturday, primetime, Duke. So that's the thing is they're not going to. In a perfect world, like you said, they should get the hammer. I do agree with that, but with the NCAA, they're not because they bring in revenue. They're on national TV. They're in front of everybody. It's like advertising. The more people see Duke, the more they're going to become fans of Duke and buy their gear, which brings Duke and the NCAA money. And I mean that kind of ventures off into should players get paid, etc., etc. But I don't think Duke's going to get the hammer, even if they were found guilty. I just don't see the NCAA doing that because they would essentially be killing their bottom line. But like I said, in a perfect world,
the Duke would have to do something horrific for the NCAA to get.
They would have to be beyond.
Duke would have to
guilty.
join a terrorist organization.
Literally, they would have to be so obviously guilty. Like they just can't. NCAA has no way to deny that.
Yeah, but we'll move on from that, and we'll get into the Final Four. By the time this is up, which will be tomorrow. I believe the 2 ones are tonight, right?
Yeah.
So we got Texas Tech and Michigan State. We got Virginia and Auburn. I picked Michigan State to win this whole thing, and everyone called me stupid. My friend Will called me stupid. My friend Andrew called me stupid. They told me Duke was at me, not Duke. Sorry. Michigan State was out in the round of 32. They're going to lose to Louisville. Final Four. I knew they would beat. The NCAA couldn't protect Duke in the Elite Eight. I knew Tom Izzo was going to outcoach Coach K, and they were going to get to the Final Four tonight. They got Texas Tech. For those who don't know, Chris Beard used to be coach at UNLV for about 19 days, and he left for the Texas Tech job, thanks to our fabulous old ex-athletic director, Tina Kernzer-Murphy. UNLV has had now 2 ex-coaches coach in the Final Four, Lon Kruger, Chris Beard. We seem to let the good ones go. And anyway, I think Texas Tech, they'll cool down tonight and their little run will end. Michigan State will win. Tom Izzo's just a better coach. They got more experienced roster. You got Cassius Winston. Michigan State's just the better team tonight. And then you have Auburn and Virginia. I love Auburn's story. I love Auburn's run, but they're out with their, what's his name, number 5, Opeka. Chris Opeka tore his ACL. I think they're really just playing for him in that Elite Eight game, and now they're not going to have him. He's a huge defensive help. When he gets going offensively, and especially from three-point, he's a big help to that Auburn offense and defense. Not having him tonight is going to hurt them, especially going against Virginia, who's probably the best. I believe they are the best defensive team in the country. And then on the offensive end, they also have, DeAndre Haynes also a really good defensive player. You have DeAndre Hunter, On offense as well, probably going to be a top 5 draft pick. You have Ty Jerome, another first-round draft pick. You have Kyle Guy, probably another first-round draft pick. They got some good up-and-coming coming players, and you also have Tony Bennett as the head coach. I fully expect a Virginia versus Michigan State championship game, which I'm going to pick Michigan State. But in terms of tonight, I'm picking Michigan State, and I'm picking Virginia. I think that's just the obvious choices to me. But, that'd be cool to see an Auburn and Texas Tech championship game. I think that'd be unique. But for the sake of my bracket still, let's go Spartans, go green.
Yeah, well, my bracket, by the way, guys, is...
You picked Duke to win, didn't you?
No, I picked North Carolina. I did change it at the last second because I was I saw the Duke train was kind of cooling off. I was like, oh, North Carolina, that's a legitimate team. But by the way, my bracket's in the trash can over there, guys. Yes. So
probably should. Did Duke make it further than North Carolina?
North Carolina by maybe a couple hours because
they lost in the lead. I thought they lost in the Sweet 16.
No, they lost in the Elite Eight.
Okay,
but I know the show is obviously called back and forth, but Joey nailed it right on the head. I think tonight is the Cassius Winston game. He explodes in this game tonight. And
how is he? I have not seen him in any mock drafts. He's a junior. This kid is good. 18 points and 7 assists a game, and he's leading this Michigan State team to the Final Four. Right. And scouts are just like.
And Cassius Winston.
Let me take this one and done player instead.
I really noticed him when it was the Big Ten championship game against Michigan, and he put on a performance like no other.
He was an animal.
That
kid wants to win.
Anytime Michigan scored a bucket, Cassius had an answer. And this guy, you talk about driving to the basket, finishing at the basket, and he can stroke it from three-point range, along with doing the other duties as a
passing, and he's a great leader.
Great passer.
Great leader.
You won't find a kid that's going to work harder than Cassius Winston. I'd be very hard-pressed. I think Michigan State wins that game, and I say they're going to win by double digits. I have a really good feeling they're going to win by 10 or more points.
I'm going to go like 76-64 type score.
I'd say like 10 or 11 points, maybe 12 points. I definitely think it's going to be a double-digit win. And then in the nightcap, you have Virginia and Auburn. Virginia is really pissed off, in case you guys haven't understood, from last year, getting knocked out in the round of 64.
First number 1 seed to lose.
By, was it Maryland Baltimore Community College? I don't know. I hadn't heard
UMBC.
UMBC, exactly.
Go Retrievers. Retrievers.
They're really mad that they got knocked out there. So this, I think, is their kind of like revenge March Madness tour.
Revenge tour, yeah.
Revenge tour. So, and I think, like Joe said, when you talk about defense, Virginia is one of the top. I want to say I don't know if they're first, but they're definitely second. I saw that in either 3-point or total defense. And it's going to be quite a show. I think Virginia, their defense is going to create their offense, and Auburn, I don't believe, has played a defense that great in the SEC for basketball. I mean, you talk about Kentucky, but they were a little stagnant and inconsistent, I thought, this year. Not the typical Kentucky we see. And just there's no other really strong SEC teams like it was in the Big Ten, where you had, I think, like 8 or 9 teams out of the Big Ten make the tournament.
8-9 bid league, yeah.
I mean, and they all got tournament bids into the big dance. So I think you've got Virginia, who obviously has to play Duke this year with their NBA roster.
Yeah.
You've got to play North Carolina, Duke Jr., and so you've got those two you have to see at least a couple times a year. I think Virginia's going to be better prepared for this game. It's going to be a Virginia-Michigan State final.
It's going to be a good-ass game.
That's going to be a really good game. When I first saw this Final Four, I was like, I'm not sure about this. And then I started researching it more and looking at it deeper. And I was like, no, this could be a really good one. If Michigan State and Virginia make the final, you got a really good defensive team, and you've got a really good offensive team in Michigan State with a stud, like I just mentioned, with Cassius Winston. And I think that's going to be a low scoring, but it's going to be a fun game. And I'm going to give Michigan State the edge by like 3 or 4. That game's going to be coming down to the
It's going to be like 50 to 60 something.
Yeah.
Like 58, 60. It's going to be a defensive battle.
And it's going to come down to the last couple possessions.
It's going to come to Cassius Winston versus DeAndre Hunter. So
yeah. It's going to be a fun game.
It's going to be a fun championship game. Hopefully those are our predictions. I mean, they'll be out tomorrow, so we'll see how right we are. We both could be dead wrong here.
Let's hope.
Second my bracket. Please, Spartans. I'm in first place in my group right now. Need them to win.
Everybody else is probably out in your bracket.
Yeah, they all picked Duke, so.
They all eliminated.
Told you, Michigan State. But, I mean, my bracket was already... last year I had 12 straight games. I thought I was going to have a perfect bracket. This year it was done from the first game. I picked Louisville to beat Minnesota, and Minnesota won. So, yeah. Not a good year. I mean, maybe I could take actually first place. Michigan State pulls this off. So, we'll see. We also got a preview on UNLV football this year. We were at the spring game. We talked about, the collegiate basketball players getting paid. And then we also talked about... the Final Four preview, and we'll see how wrong we are once this is uploaded tomorrow.
Let's hope not.
Let's hope we're not wrong. Let's hope we were dead right, so we, can get some extra credibility here. Again, we appreciate your support, hitting 100 views last time, and your continued support. I'm not trying to hint at anything. There could be something big coming in the future. I mean, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut for right now. Matt knows what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But Matt, any closing words?
Thank you.
Just excuse my dog. I believe he's still barking still.
Exactly.
It's not. This is his talking time.
That's
so.
right. We gotta give him a spot.
Gotta give him a spot. Get him right here.
Yeah. Thank you guys, though. In all seriousness, for the views on the first video. Let's get to 200 this video.
Ooh.
Let's watch this video. Get it out to your friends. Get it out to family. Get it out to everybody. Let's get this video.
Send it out to Russia.
Yeah, anybody and everybody. Like I said, show your dog, show your neighbor, show the mailman down the street that gives you your mail every day, the delivery guy that's on the UPS truck, whoever.
Show the jail convict.
Well, maybe, but they might not agree with us, Joe. You never know. That could get dicey. But in all seriousness, thank you guys for your support. We couldn't have done this without you guys, and we're gonna keep making good content. Big things to come.